Blog Talk Radio.
Raw living is a state of mind, a way of being in alignment with your body. Raw living means you put yourself and your body first. Your host, Geeta Sidhu-Robb, is the founder of Nosh Detox, based in the UK. They offer innovative raw food smoothies sold across Europe. You'll experience it in your skin, your body, and your mind. And now it's time for Raw Living Radio. Raw living is a state of mind, a way of being in alignment with your body. Raw living means you put yourself and your body first. Your host, Geeta Sidhu-Robb, is the founder of Nosh Detox, based in the UK. They offer innovative raw food smoothies sold across Europe. You'll experience it in your skin, your body, and your mind. And now it's time for Raw Living Radio.
Hi, this is Geeta Sidhu-Robb, your host today, and I'm joined today by my guest, Kristen White, who is the media expert behind the Ripple Effect TV. Hi, Kristen.
Hi, Geeta.
So your show is actually called the Ripple Effect.
It is.
Why did you call it that?
Well, I believe, Geeta, that all it takes for someone to have a profound transformation oftentimes is one word, one sentence, or one thought. I'm sure you've seen that experienced in your life. But it is that moment, the ripple is started when we make an impact, and then the waves flow out from that point. And so inside the show, we have created a marketplace of ideas, experts from all over the world in wellness, personal development, spirituality, who share their ideas that can have a profound transformation when that message connects with the right person.
That's fantastic. What was the ripple for you? What was the one thing that changed for you?
I've had a lot of different ripples in my life. I don't think it's ever one thing. Oftentimes if you would look at a smooth pond and you'd see the rain falling, there'd be all kinds of little ripples going on all over the place. And I think that when we listen in our lives, when we pay attention, we have an opportunity to have a ripple flow through our lives almost every day, that we can always be evolving to live from a place of, higher frequency, higher brain, higher opportunities, and we can see things through eyes that are filled with joy and happiness. So I think that the ripple is about allowing transformation to occur naturally in our everyday lives and not waiting for, the big bang,
But it's yes, I hear that, and a lot of us have read about that, and it's something that it's commonly held as a viewpoint. But how do you get there? I mean, isn't it something that could you point to a time? Could you point to an event? Is there a straw that broke the camel's back? Because how do you get it quiet in your mind, for example, to even start to listen to the various things that are happening instead of firefighting like most of us do from day to day?
It's interesting. I do think that there is a moment sometimes that we turn our lives around. And for myself, this was several years ago, and there was a lot of things going on inside, my personal life and inside the family. And I thought, well, gosh, if our thoughts attract our reality, what am I thinking about? I just had a moment where I paused instead of just getting caught up in the experience of everyday life. I started to pay attention to, is there something else here? What is my responsibility? I think sometimes it's just the choice to not be a victim to our circumstances, but to actually just have an awareness of our circumstances and how we're engaged or not engaged or participating in the drama. I'm sure you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, completely. Hello. I even have teenagers to add to that drama.
Exactly. And I had children in the home at the same time. And so in that moment, I thought, well, gosh, if my thoughts are my reality, what am I thinking about? And then I took it one step further, and I thought, well, if I need to shift my thinking, how do I do that? Like, what would be the most profound way for me to just begin to shift my thinking? And what came up for me was that I could meditate. Now, I do not have at the time, a lot of experience meditating. I wasn't, a seasoned meditation expert. I didn't go find a meditation guru. I just went to a bookstore and bought a book. I'm just going to buy a book on meditation.
No, but I do a lot of my learning that way because it gives me the time and space to integrate in my own quiet space.
Yes, I call that putting yourself through self-university. And so I just go to the bookstore and I say a little prayer or affirmation to my guides, and I say, what do I need to learn in this moment? And then inevitably I'm drawn to anywhere from 1 to 5 different books, and I take them downstairs and check out. And you could do this on Amazon, obviously, as well. And then I would read the books. And so I started with a very simple meditation practice. It was created by Wayne Dyer. It's called Getting in the Gap. And so what it does...
that CD as well. Did you listen to
I love that one. I do love that one. And what it does is it takes the first 10 words of the Lord's Prayer, and then in the spaces in between those words, you do the practice of japa, which is the Sanskrit practice of Om. So to me, it merges, Western spirituality with Eastern mysticism using the Lord's Prayer and Om. And I like it because it has a beautiful cadence to it that just trains you how to get into stillness. And so I did that practice daily, and I had 3 small children at the time, so I set my alarm clock and got up at 5 o'clock in the morning, 5:30 before everybody else, and would go in and do this practice of the Lord's Prayer and Oms. And then afterwards I would sit quietly, and oftentimes it would only be for a minute or 2 minutes or 3 minutes. I had to build up my ability to hold stillness.
Yeah, it does take practice. People seem to think that you should be able to sit down and start meditating for 20 minutes a day. It's really, really not true. It just takes practice. And one thing that you've said there, Kristen, if I can pick up, is that you did it at the same time every day. And meditation really benefits from being done as a ritual in the same time and in the same space of every day.
That's exactly right, Geeta. I had created for myself a sacred space. I had this really great chair in this room in the house, and over time, I added things into that room that made it significant and sacred for me. I used either pictures or crystals or candles, incense, just different things. Sometimes I'd have fresh flowers there. And what I loved about this practice is that over the course of a year, I noticed all kinds of other magical things unfolding in my life. So I didn't go in with the intention that I'm going to meditate so this happens. It wasn't goal-oriented meditation.
Well, no, so it sounds like what you did was you meditated in order to find some space and some peace.
Right.
And that for you, like for so many people, if you find the peace and the pace, no, I think I meant that the other way around. If you find the peace and space, what happens is that you start to hear your intuition really loudly, don't you? Is that what you found?
Absolutely. Not only did, over the course of a year, all of my intuitive channels opened up, but I was able to write a book, and I lost about 45 pounds. So I think that
we could call it the meditation weight loss diet.
Exactly.
45 pounds.
Well, the interesting thing is I believe that when we meditate, we add more light into our bodies, like the frequency of light. So
the
literally
vibration increases.
Right. We literally lighten up. So we lighten up. When we lighten up, our intuition is more illuminated. When we lighten up, we access our creativity. When we lighten up, we lose weight because we're not holding so much stale energy. And that the addition of light through meditation is probably the most powerful transformational force as a human being that we can encounter.
So if we just take a small break now, and then when we come back, we're going to talk, please, Kristen, a little bit more about how you use light in order to create change in your life, because that's really interesting.
Sounds good.
Cool. Back in a few. Okay. Should we start again?
For a second, are you in your room with all your employees? You may
I am.
It's loud.
I know. I said that to Nate. I was saying, is it loud? How loud is it?
Well, they're just kind of talking and typing and stuff. It's okay for this interview, but in the future, I go upstairs.
I tried, but the computer didn't work upstairs.
Okay.
That's why I did it. It's awful.
You're okay for this time, but just so you know, they're loud. Or tell them to go to lunch or something.
It's dinner time. It's difficult. Cool. So
count back down 3, 2, 1, and come back on.
Okay, 3, 2, 1. Hi. So, Kristen, you're going to talk. We were talking just before the break about how you use light in order to add and make a difference to your life. It's my belief that light actually breaks down obstacles, frankly. I really believe that. What did you find? I mean, and how did you see light growing, for example, in your life?
It's interesting. I think that when we start to meditate, we somehow have this misguided notion that we are going to have, visions like the saints, and that we're going to have these crazy epiphanies, and that our spirit guides will walk up to us and hug us and greet us, and I do think that there are moments of awareness that are very lucid and seem almost dreamlike. I mean, yes, I've had those. I'm sure you've had those as well.
Yeah.
But most of the meditation, most of the light is actually emptiness. It's just you're holding more space. You're in the space of emptiness. And that as we hold more emptiness, we recognize the influx of light in our everyday lives after our practice. We notice more harmony, more happiness, more peace of mind, that by allowing that space of no expectation, emptiness, detachment, that everything loosens up and breathes.
So you're saying that the less you stressed and the less you efforted and the less that you tried, the better it got?
Absolutely. And the less I was attached to the outcome. Before, I was always assigning, this is bad. Oh, maybe this is good. Oh, maybe this will turn around. Or if only this happens. I had a lot of conditional language.
Mm-hmm.
And I just began
you judged each outcome.
Yeah, release it. Because the truth of the matter is that a lot of things that I thought didn't look that great on the surface turned out to be profound blessings. And things that I thought absolutely needed to happen or things wouldn't be okay, even if they didn't happen, it was fine. In fact, it was better. And so the force of my will in making my reality what I thought it needed to be began to just dissolve.
And so that means that you learned to trust more, right? That you're trusting the flow of what was happening and you were allowing yourself to be in that flow.
I think it's more that yes, I do think it's about trust, but I also think that meditation allows us to be in partnership with the divine. So I think instead of being in partnership with my spouse at the time, or being in partnership with my business partner, and then them needing to show up in the way that I thought was right, I just created my partnership with the divine.
Oh, that's amazing.
That universal energy. And then whatever was supposed to happen, happened, and I trusted that that was the right outcome.
That's fantastic. So how did you end up going from there to becoming a media expert and setting up the ripple effect?
Well, I believe that all of us travel what I call the universal law of the circle. And what do I mean by the universal law of the circle is I believe that every experience that we have in our lives has a meaning or a contribution to where we're meant to be in our ultimate life's purpose.
Mm-hmm.
So what are your thoughts about that?
Oh, no, I agree completely. I think that is everything counts and everything matters. There are no coincidences. There's no chance to it at all.
Exactly. And so the truth of the matter is that I've been a messenger my entire life. From the time that I first got out of high school, I started to study journalism and ended up working for a TV station, and I was also an intern for a United States congressman writing letters to constituents on Capitol Hill. I went on and worked in media for 20th Century Fox in Hollywood on the studio lot, hosted a radio show. I've been a messenger my entire life. And as I got deeper and deeper into my spiritual practice, I realized that I loved working with people who are waking up to their life's purpose. but that they did not always necessarily know how to be powerful messengers. So they knew what they were passionate about. They recognized it on a soul level, but they hadn't quite figured out how to voice it in a way that could connect to people and people would understand the experience that they were having.
So they didn't know how to pass their message on to other people.
Right, in a way that was understandable. I mean, and I think this is true for anyone who is working in personal development or something that has to do with transformational content, especially if you're working with energy. I mean, how do you describe what might be the indescribable, right?
Well, also, how do you have the courage to say, I have a message sometimes?
Exactly.
It's even taking that first step.
Right. And so what occurred to me throughout that practice, and it wasn't immediate. It wasn't like I woke up one day and said, oh, this is what I'm doing the rest of my life. You know, it's an evolution. You know, it evolved over a period of time. You know, I wrote my first book, Mystic in a Minivan, about...
I love that title.
It's a fun book, but about my journey. And it's a, it's a modern-day parable. I say it's the Eat, Pray, Love for mothers, and that you can take a journey of a lifetime without leaving home. When you tune into yourself and what your message is for the world. And through the journey of, like, trying to get my own book out there and telling people about the book, I realized, there are parts of this that are easy. There are parts of this that are vague. There are parts of this that are challenging, and I can contribute to this process, you know, marketing authors and speakers and coaches. And so through my own journey, I saw opportunity for me to contribute to other people who are on the same journey so that they could have greater success. And so I think that, like, life is always, you know, one step and then the next step and the next step. I mean, I'm sure that's true about you. I know it's true about you.
So what you're saying is that first you unearth these people that have this amazing message, and sometimes they know it and sometimes they don't. And then the second thing is you provide a platform for them to actually be able to get that message across.
Absolutely.
And you're using what medium to help them to get that across? Are you using everything you learned before? Is it radio? Is it TV? What is it that you do? How do you help them to do that?
Well, right now we host a TV show called The Ripple Effect. We're in 20 million U.S. TV households right now. We just got started. So we air on the ABC TV station, on Fox TV in 2 different U.S. markets, and some other independent stations. So we're all over the U.S., and it is a news-style broadcast about wellness, personal development, and spirituality.
So why you just got started, and that's where you've got to? I mean, that's amazing. That's
actually huge. Kind of a funny story.
Yeah, tell us. Well, actually, let me just get this clear. So you started how long ago?
Well, I've been a media coach and an interview trainer, and a coach for people with messaging for several years now. At least 5 years. But and in the last 2 years prior, we've produced over 500 videos for authors, speakers, and coaches. So we have a lot of experience creating on-camera content for people who want to get a message out there. But just in September, I was offered the exact TV station where I was last a morning presenter or a morning anchor. And so I moved into that TV station. They're no longer producing their newscast. And I renovated it like someone renovates an old house. So I basically have moved into the ABC TV station here in St. Louis and am producing the show inside the very place where I last was doing the morning news. So that, again, is that universal law of the circle.
Well, and it's serendipity, isn't it, where you started and then you've come back there.
Exactly, but in a new way, in a transformed way. And it's interesting because I do believe that a lot of times we're like, why can't this happen? Why is this taking so long? I wish this was sooner. I can't wait for my life to start. And the reality is that each step, every moment in between when I got started and when this occurred, all has value and depth and made a contribution to how we show up now.
Well,
so I think if I had gotten there any sooner, it would have not been as rich.
Yeah, and you wouldn't have known as much, and you wouldn't have met the right people for whatever you needed. I mean, I think part of what you're saying that rings really true is that you don't always know why it is that you went left instead of right. But at the end of it, you look back and think it was meant to happen.
I think that's where that making the divine your business partner helps, because you just know that you will get to wherever it is you're supposed to be, when you're supposed to be there. We're always exactly where we're supposed to be.
At the right time.
At the right time. And then if we know that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Carry on.
No, I was going to say, if we know that, then it takes a lot of the anxiety out of it.
I love the whole thing about making the divine your business partner. I think that's the name of a book. Well, it is.
Divine business partner.
Yeah, because if you look at it, they're always going to be loyal. They're never going to cheat on you. They're always to be trusted. They know so much more than you do. They're great mentors. I mean, it's all around good.
Keeps you calm.
Yeah, totally. And they're always available. And it's a question of all these women entrepreneurs who set up businesses on their own, for example, or any entrepreneur. It's just so useful for them. I think that should be your next book,
Yeah, well, my new book is coming out in the next month, and it's called Broadcast Your Vision, How to Put Your Business, Product, or Book in the Media. And we use a lot of strategies, everything from just how do you claim your expertise and own it, all the way to how do you express yourself, connect with the media, use media platforms, whether it's radio shows like what we're doing today or on TV, using iPad magazines. There's so many different ways to be in the media consistently to connect with new clients who want to work with you.
Well, I think that's amazing. I mean, perhaps when your book's actually published, we could have you come back on with maybe some of the books as a giveaway, and some people who could act as case studies, who would want some advice, and you could maybe talk to one of them and say, roughly, this is what I would do, so people get an idea of what it is that you do. Because it sounds really easy to say, this is, I create media platforms and I'm a messenger, but it's so much harder than it looks to make it effortless. It's like ducks, isn't it, on a pond? And they're paddling furiously underneath.
I think it's just like everything, is that we need to make a choice in our lives that this is how we want to show up. And then we choose consciously to step into the spotlight and give ourselves permission to be visible so that other people can find us and be inspired by our work. And then we apply that commitment consistently. So we consistently say, I'm going to be visible, I'm going to show up, I'm going to communicate. And we do it over a period of time. And then that allows us to gain momentum. And then as we gain momentum, we get more ideas and inspiration, and we connect with more people. And it becomes this ongoing conversation that's held in a space that allows others to participate. And that is how it works. It's not overnight, instant celebrity success. We do see that happen. Susan Boyle, she shows up on YouTube, but that was the end of her journey. She'd been auditioning, she'd been singing, she'd been preparing for years, and then she went out for the show. Yes.
Yeah,
yes.
And she just had not given up at all. Mm-hmm. Kristen, I want to take a small break now, and then when we come back, I'd like to work out what it means to be you, what it means to be you as a media expert, what it's done for you, how that's worked in your personal life, and how it's changed you. What the benefit of having this enormous profile has been to you. So we'll be back with that very shortly. Hi.
Hi.
I worked out where the mute button was.
Oh.
It was a miracle. So I've been using that in between. This is really, you're beginning to echo. Can you hear me clearly?
Yes.
I hope Skype isn't being funny.
I can hear you clearly. Nate, how's it sounding? Is it okay?
Is Nate there?
Yeah.
Can you hear him?
Nate, is it echoing? Is it going to be okay? We can always air this one, Geeta, and we can always redo it. Do you know what I mean? It can just be one to have for this week. We're just practicing right now, so not to worry.
I know, but it's interesting, isn't it?
It's fun. Oh, absolutely. I mean, are you enjoying hosting it?
Yeah, I really am. It's really cool. Particularly,
that's the most important thing.
particularly if there's people like you who could sit there and talk interesting stuff the whole way. So.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that makes it easier. Okay, I'm wondering if I can't get hold of Nate, and I'm thinking if I hang up and try again, if the line might be better.
No, don't hang up. I would just keep going. So just count 3, 2, 1, and just keep going again.
I will do. Okay. 3, 2, 1. Hi, we're back with my guest Kristen White, who is the host and the CEO of The Ripple Effect, which is both a TV and a TV show and a company. And the thing about what The Ripple Effect does is it creates a platform to help people to create their own their media message and get it across to loads of people. So we're just going to ask now, Kristen, what has it done for you to have this enormous platform? You know, you've been a journalist on most of the major TV shows and then most U.S. networks. You then set up the Ripple Effect. I mean, what would you say having a high profile has helped with, or has it just helped with everything that you do?
I think that there are ways to be strategic in our business, and that whenever we can create a situation of magnetism, where we can magnetically attract to ourselves the types of ideal people that we would love to work with, that becomes the most powerful tool strategically to continue to grow your business. And I think that that's what media does for you. Media is magnetic. So when you're on the media, people are attracted to you because you are perceived to be the expert, to have the influence and the authority. And so anytime anyone can use media and then create a platform where they can invite other people to participate. I mean, a radio show is a classic example. If you're the host of your own radio show, you are a media expert. And inside that platform, you have the ability to invite other leaders, other global inspirational teachers to come and participate in your media platform. And I can tell you a secret, 9 out of 10 of those people will say yes, even if you're just getting started. So it's very important to have a space where you are positioned as the expert and then be able to invite people to come in and participate inside your world. That's the magnetism of media.
So what you're saying is that in fact, as a starting point, it gives you an authority that you would not necessarily otherwise have.
Yes, exactly.
And also what it would then do is that it helps, it sort of is you showing up in that space. So you're showing up and you're occupying a space, and by virtue of that, you then become a form of a magnetic leader within that space. Is that right?
Absolutely. You know, several years ago, I've done online radio, such as programs like this, for 4 years. And when I first got started, I just started at my kitchen table. And I grew that show up to 85,000 subscribers. And I hosted it weekly from my own table. And I just invited in other leaders, best-selling authors, teachers on the subjects that I was interested in. And I showed up every single week. And it's this consistency that I'm talking about, because it just, things build and gain momentum over time.
So how did you get, what did you say, 85,000 listeners?
Yes, subscribers.
Subscribers? How did you do that?
Well, you know, the thing is that there's a thing called standing on the shoulders of giants. So when I had my show, I invited people who already had a following to come and be my guest. And then I promoted them to my community, and they promoted me to their community. And each week it creates that exponential multiplier.
So that you met, like say, for example, you have 500 the first time, and then you have 1,000, and then you have 5,000. Right. Wow. Yep. And that's from an internet radio show, which is... An
internet radio show, yeah. Which is, you can start it just tomorrow. Just pick the date, pick the time, and set up the account. I mean, there's more to it than that. But what I'm saying is that imagine if you have a business or a coaching practice or a book that you want to promote, and you're able to have other experts in for conversations, and then you're regularly having these conversations, how over time that can grow exponentially.
So just before we carry on, Kristen's details are going to be posted along with the show, so that if you want to get hold of Kristen, you'll be able to get her to help you to chat about what you're doing and everything else. But now, so Kristen, can I ask you, why would you use radio instead of TV, for example? Why would you use TV instead of radio? I mean, do you point people in one direction or the other? Or both, or what?
Ideally, you would use a combination of media, TV, radio, and multimedia, iPad magazines, and your social media as well, because I think that you need all of it. Obviously, the easy part is that if you want to host a radio show, you could do it in your pajamas, right? You could just be sitting here on the TV,
completely.
on the radio, and wake up and be in your comfy clothes and host the show and not have your makeup done, and that's easy, but it's consistent. And TV requires more effort. You need to polish your image. You need a precise message. You need a full camera crew. There is a lot that goes into hosting a TV show. I mean, you just got back from producing promos for your series. I mean, you know from that experience that there's a lot that goes into a production day.
There is, and it's very painful because you spend your whole life sitting there in makeup. You spend your life in clothes. And what looks like really fun from outside, it becomes very different when it's just about work. You can't have an off day. And watching you on TV is a lesson because there are skill sets that you just need. And radio is much more forgiving when it comes to that.
Radio is a good place to start. I think that it's more forgiving. It's having a conversation. I mean, granted, there are listeners, so there will be thousands and thousands of listeners to this conversation, but it's easy to get into a comfortable, friendly rapport with your guest. Most of the time, you'll invite people on who you will absolutely adore, and you'll have some great chats, and that is a way to just get into your own authentic personality, your own authentic voice, and that's what's the most engaging for your audience.
And I guess also the thing with radio is that because you can get over most of your nerves doing this, you can find your feet, and you get to a place where it just feels more comfortable, I guess.
The key to being a powerful messenger is, one, being clear about what it is you want to communicate, but the bigger part is just the practice. You just need to do it. You need to show up and allow yourself to be a beginner. So even if you're an expert in every other area of your life, you may be a beginner when it comes to media. So it's just important to allow yourself to be a beginner.
It's a metaphor for life, really, isn't it?
Absolutely.
You wake up every day and you think, okay, I'm going to allow myself to be a beginner to this. I'm going to start fresh. I'm going to start new. And that's where children get all that joy and wonder at being who they are every day, isn't it?
We get stuck when we don't allow ourselves to learn something new. And learning something new requires us to set that part of ourselves aside that is ego-based and say, well, I'm not good enough at it, so I'm not going to do it. And that just gets in the way. And that's where that conversation with the divine comes back in. Yeah. Because it makes us more fearless to just try things that may feel incredibly uncomfortable. I know when I first started speaking on stages, and that is, another part of this, is, we need to get out and interact with people in person. It's funny, even though I was on TV in front of 500,000 people or 1 million people, depending on, which show we're talking about, that was effortless. That didn't faze me at all. But I would be sitting in a room with an audience of 200 people, and it was like I couldn't remember my name. And
I agree with you.
You just have to go through that learning curve. I mean, I have physiological symptoms. My palms would sweat, my neck would turn red.
But I agree with you. There's something about having one screen to look at, one screen to talk to, which is so much easier than talking to 200 people. Right. It's just more painful somehow. I do agree. Yeah.
And I think that the pain comes when we are concerned about others' interpretation of what we're saying.
We don't want to be liked.
Right. It's that wanting approval.
Yeah, and it's human that we all want to be liked. We all want everybody to approve of us. We want them to be on our side. It's from the playground. It's inherent from then, isn't it?
Exactly.
But also the thing in today's culture is that because we live in such a strong media-based culture, I think that the stakes have changed. It's not enough to know how to read and write well. You've got to be in charge of your media message, because if you're not, somebody else will be. And it's a question of who you're going to allow to set that agenda. Is it going to be yourself or is it someone else? And I think that that's something that you're covering really well.
Well, I think it's a couple of different things. If you look at traditional media, and what their agenda is. It's to create a spectacle. How can I create something that's sensational and shocking and riveting?
Yeah,
and
so, exactly. But that sometimes is bad news.
Oh, I would say 90% of the times it's bad news. So even if you have a powerful transformational good message and you're on mainstream media and you don't have the proper training and understanding, you could be portrayed in an unfavorable light. I know a woman who is an intuitive, and she's written a book called The Secret Energy of Reiki. And Bravo TV has continuously invited her to be on their TV show called Sexy Witches. Okay? And she's like, I'm not going to be on a TV show called Sexy Witches.
Are you serious?
I'm dead serious. But she is an intuitive. She's a celebrity medium, and she works with energy healing and energy medicine.
Oh, that's appalling.
And so she just said, I refuse to do it. And I think that, it's how do we want to be perceived and how do we want to show up, and do we have to participate in the type of media that is sensationalized and undermines what we're trying to do inside the world of, alternative medicine, personal development, spirituality. There's not a lot of supportive conversations going on these genres right now in mainstream media.
No, I agree, and I think a lot of that is also the male-female divide, because it comes down to women are just a lot more nurturing, and they're a lot more prepared to say, let me showcase you, let me have you come, let me hold you up, let me make you be the authentic self that you are, and let me allow everyone to be inspired by you. And I think that that's a very yin kind of a female approach to it, and that does make a difference.
Absolutely, and that is why it's important to have your own messages and your own image and your own story professionally produced and crafted in a way so that when people come back to your site, to check you out, they see these media clips, they see we call it the sizzle reel, where they can hear what you're all about and what's your philosophy and why should anyone listen to you?
Yeah.
Why should someone listen to you? And if you just rely on exposure by fleeting exposure, because it really implies that you're even going to get it. So if you do get it, you're probably only going to get it for about a minute to a minute and a half, and it will not be what you're really trying to say. I can guarantee that.
So what do you have, for example? Do you have like a couple of examples of where people have come on the show and really, you've done the ripple effect for them, you've produced it, you've coached them, and these amazing things have happened for them that wouldn't have happened without you?
Well, we have one of our first guests did a wonderful job of continuing to use the clip to talk to other media outlets about her. And the key is with media is that media doors open the best from the inside. So once you get on media and you look great on camera, you have a crystal clear message, you'll get more media coverage. See, that's what they're always worried about when they're in the newsroom or at the decision maker's desk, which is called the assignment desk. They want to make sure you're going to be good on camera.
Yeah, it's terrible, dead space.
Yeah, terrible. And so they can't risk you coming on and freezing on their show. They just will not take that risk, because there's too many people who won't freeze, who have the clips and the preparation and should know that they can show up. And it's
also it's their decision to put you on, which will then look bad, so it reverberates all the way down the chain.
Right, exactly. And so they just won't take that gamble. I mean, they don't really care who you are, even if you have incredible book, message, platform. Unless the only caveat is unless it is extremely sensationalized. So if it's emotional or gory, or they will put you on. Yeah.
So you're, do you have like a case study you can share with us?
Well, yeah, no, she's now able to be on, she's a regular contributor in Sacramento on the TV station, and she's showing up, in a lot of dynamic ways based on this appearance. Now, our show has just gotten started, so we're only airing this week our 4th show. But I know that, other guests have been able to use their clips for additional promotion for themselves and their shows, and to attract traffic and connect with more clients. So without a doubt, media gives you more credibility and opens doors that would otherwise be closed.
Well, and I have to say, one of the although we've been friends for a while, I went on the Ripple Effect, and I saw firsthand what you do, which is why I wanted you to come on and talk to us today. And I have a clip which I've used, and I've put it on my site, and I put it in different places, and it's made a difference because people can when you see and hear someone, you have a very strong sense of whether you like them or you don't like them. However fleeting it might be and however silly that might be, it's your gut instinct. And we go with that, I think, all the time, don't you think?
Oh, I do think that people, first impressions are extremely powerful, and first impressions inside media are about 15 seconds, and that people no longer are reading a tremendous amount of web copy. They're not watching one video after another. They look at you and they make a connection or they don't. And you've got about 15 seconds to do that. So if you want to position yourself as an expert and you're an author or a coach or you own a business, it's important to know if your media is supporting you or it's hurting you.
How would you make that judgment?
Well, if you have video...
I might think it's really clever for me to go on air with a really short skirt and something cut down to my navel. And somebody else might look at me and think, okay, you look really stupid and I'm not going to listen to anything that you say, but I think I'm being clever. How do I judge that?
I think the more reasonable conversation is most people just create their own videos. They take their iPhone out and they create a video of themselves, and it's not lit very well and it's wobbly, and their clothes are just average.
You're saying they're not making themselves look professional. So the fact of making themselves look more professional means they're taking themselves more seriously. And instinctively we take other people more seriously if they take themselves more seriously.
Well, think about it. If the average price of a coaching program or a product or service is even $200, okay, and you're out in the media and you're talking to millions of people, so you're going to attract at least 1% of that to come purchase your $200 product. If you are just sending out a video of you, standing outside in the park or in front of your house or, in your kitchen,
yeah, the one which
how do you think that's going to convert into clients who are going to invest in your services? It just doesn't. It's like, oh, great, this person just woke up this morning and turned on their iPhone and made a video. It just doesn't. It doesn't send the right message. So if you're serious about your business, if you want to position yourself as an expert and a best-selling author, then you owe it to yourself to step up and show up consistently with a polished media expert image and to build that platform over time. Otherwise, the rest of that is just, I don't know, it's ineffective.
It is, yeah. And it's a waste of time, too. I was going to ask you, because you have is it 4 children?
I have 3 of my own children, and then I'm married, and I have a 18-year-old stepdaughter. So we have 4 children, yes.
What did they think? Do they like seeing you on TV? Do they like seeing the exposure that you get?
Oh, they all love the TV show. We're on right before Good Morning America, and it's on our DVR. So they're like, oh, Mom's on TV. Mom, is it weird to be on TV? The 2 daughters want to host their own TV shows. So I do think that it is exciting to use media and to see the kind of people that it attracts and who you reach. I've been invited to host live events and, to be an MC for charities and to help attract attention to that as well. So there's a lot of positive things that come out of media exposure.
Yeah, and also there's the place where one of the reasons I thought of your children is because I know that with my children, they are so much, I think they live on YouTube.
Right.
I'm actually convinced because they're so visual about the immediacy of how they want their information. And the one way to reach, I think, these generations is absolutely to use a visual medium. And the other thing with that I found in terms of radio is that because we're all driving around so much and walking around so much, having audio is something that I download and keep on my iPad or my iPhone all the time so that I can listen to it at any stage wherever I am.
Yes, absolutely. And I think that we are becoming much more of a visual-based society, and that we make our decisions based on what we watch, whether we're watching testimonials of other people who've worked with us, or we're watching content inside a show or a demonstration or a how-to video, that is, at this point in time, where we are in the world, the most powerful way to connect to new people and to build our movement.
Yeah, no, and I agree. So, Kristen, it was just wonderful having you on. Thank you for taking the time to come on and to share with us just what is the most incredible life story and a really exciting journey. And it's just got to be the place to get the most blessings, that you create platforms so that other people can provide inspiration. That just is what a wonderful job to have every single day of your life. It's just lovely. And it was wonderful to have you on as a guest. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you so much, Geeta. I do enjoy it so much. And if anyone is listening and they want to catch our latest episode, they can watch The Ripple Effect at my website, which is www.kristenwhite.tv.com, and that's spelled KristenWhite.tv.com. And the show is The Ripple Effect, and we're on every Sunday. So, Geeta, thank you so much.
You're so welcome. And we do have Kristen's details as a link on the bottom of our page, so that if you want to come in there, you can and have a look and see what she's done. There's one of my shows that I did with Kristen is there as well. And thank you so much for joining us this week. And it's been wonderful to have you all listening. And I'll speak to you again next week. Thank you very much.